in which part of the world are you right now?
Coach, right now I'm in HRPR layout in
HR
Bangalore.
out in Bangalore,
Coach.
and I heard your son's voice a little while ago. So is he around, or did you manage to?
No, he's there first floor. I told him to watch live through my wife's mobile, so I told him you watch appointment. So they are
Okay, that's awesome. All right, Naveen, let's start with a quick introduction. So I know you since the first edition of OOTYULTRA, I guess, or soon after the event or before the event, 2018.
Before the UTL
Before the event, right? So, and I have seen you as a very innocent, but at the same time cheerful person, human being who liked suddenly the idea of running, and you wanted to run longer and longer and longer and longer. Okay, you were never in the speed game. You were in the idea of running, and also I have seen you as a person who's smiling. Okay, this is a very unique profile. It's not very rarely you come across a person always smiling. I don't know if your smile has a deep anger behind that. I always wondered, what's the secret behind this smile?
It's like, like coach, like making others happy, right? Through whichever way. So I always felt that, it's something, which people are, especially, with all the pressure world and the lifestyle people are, getting into. So I always felt that people are, somewhere forgetting their, the joy of happiness. So that is where I thought, running is one, which brings joy to people. Why might as well, always be happy through running, something like that.
Okay, that's good. So I think life is full of to be explored and also enjoyed, right? And then running seems to be something that you found or you discovered. How did this start, Naveen? Where did you get the idea of running?
Coach, yeah, sometime in the year 2017, when I was like around 85 kgs and, when my lipid profile, was so high and I was under, a lot of medical issues like the BP was high. So I was thinking to do something. So nearby home, there's a park, where I started going to walk. So there was this African student, the community area, there are a lot of African students, they used to study there. So that guy used to sprint every day whereas I used to walk. So it's a 300 meter loop. So that is where, suddenly, I thought, this guy is running non-stop. Somewhere even I have to run, non-stop 300 meters. So that is where, the running, the idea, to lose weight and be healthy, that concept came through, some unknown guy from Africa. So from
okay. I have one request. Can you step back a little bit because your head is getting chopped off in this window. Okay, this is much better. All right, so you started running. You were inspired by somebody from the African. I'm sure the entire world is inspired by the Africans, especially the Kenyans and the North East Africans for their running capabilities. And of course, they have the inspiration. So they're at their level, and then we are at our level. We're trying to find our own place in this, right? Why ultra running? It's see, for me, I'm a coach. I'm an ultra running coach, and I'm ultra running runner. I consider the concept of running ultra marathon as an utter idiotic thing to do. But having said that, we all love it, including me. I see that dichotomy, right? I see that ultra. Oh shit, man! I have to run just miles and miles after kind of every single event you're going after running a lot of distances, and it's an utter idiotic thing to do, And then at the same time, even if you know that it's going to hurt you, it's going to harm you, you still want to go. You still want to go and accomplish. right? So what's your idea of ultra running? And then I also remember you said that, hey, I meet the Almighty, I meet my forefathers. You know, you said all those things. How does that work? And I'm sure there are people, see, Yuvraj says acknowledges, and that's what. How does it work in your world, Naveen? Because I don't know how you feel about yourself and how you feel about ultra marathon. So what's your take on
Yeah.
this?
So as you were saying, when I started running and when I joined, a formal coach, the very early stage of my running, I didn't know, there was a running distance existed beyond 42. So that is where, couple of my runners from my academy, Satyashil, Ilango sir, Balaji. So these guys were, running 50, 60, 70, name the distances. So there was this event called Malnad Ultra. I think I'm sure everybody would have done it. So Malnad Ultra, I was like done just 30 kilometers. When people were doing Malnad 180, I said, I told my coach, I want to do 50K. He said, okay, go for it. So that is where, I thought, okay, we'll go and do it. And for the first 30 kilometers, I was very comfortable. So
You had partners in crime. So somebody said, yes, you're going to, who are you referring to?
That's what. So after 30 kilometers in the first edition of that Malnad Ultra, I never had a Garmin. I never had any gels or salt capsules or any electrolytes or any hydration bag. So I just went and I was, trusting on the aid stations. But Malnad Ultra being Malnad Ultra, the first edition, I was not even, having any, aid station. So the 30th kilometer, I started getting severe cramping. So that is where, I was like, started talking to like, I called my grandma, what you are there upstairs, please ask me and please take me to the finish line. So I keep talking to myself, that is where, somewhere I felt that, there is some connection between the nature and, the ultra running, which I have taken the path. So somehow, I managed to finish that race within like 30-40 minutes of cutoff time. So from there, most of the races, everything, I just go and it's like with basic preparation, I go on. Once I start the race, my aim is to finish. And somewhere I feel, the nature has been, kind and aligned to me. So that is the point, which I was saying, like, and I never overdid during the events. Like in my point in ultra running, as far as I feel, I say to people, ultra running is, easier than doing a, 10K, time it the marathon, time it 10K or a half marathon or a full marathon. Because always there is a time pressure. What I felt easy in ultra running is you have this intermediate cutoff, so you can plan it accordingly and wisely. So I keep telling people like end of the day, you're going to get the same medal even if you do it in 16 hours or 18 hours if the cutoff is 20 hours. Why do you put yourself that additional pressure to finish it at 14, 16 or 12, that, extra pressure on you? So I started loving, that, cat and mouse game. So I have so much time to go. I'll finish this. Intermediate cutoff, I have so much time to go. And another thing is why ultra running? I love food. The second thing is like ultra running is the only event, where you can have your curd rice, there you can have your, tomato rice, and still, you can keep going. So these are a couple of reasons, why I started loving, ultra running, coach.
Now, you're funny. I never had spoken to anybody who gave me a different perspective of why they ran ultra marathon. Two things you said. The first one is I can relate to it a little bit. Where you said you started talking to your granny. She is, you're able to communicate to somebody who could bring you that extra piece of motivation at a time when you are very, very low, right? So that's really brilliant. I'm sure. So I always funnily, jokingly say that in OOTYULTRA, if you're running the 60K, at around 55K, you will see all the gods in front of you, because that's when you need that extra help, right? Because ultra running is a very, very solitary sport where you have to go finish it, right? So there's nobody going to come and give you. Of course, if you take a ride, it's not considered as running. It's not legal. is cheating, right? But you need that extra mental support. It could be a buddy running next to you, or it could be that self-talk, the person deep within you. You're going to dig deeper, right? Because we see in ultramarathon, it's all about digging deeper and then finding your own sources of motivation. I always admired nature. Now, for me, the point of reference is next greenest possible tree or a bush or a landscape or a hill, till that view is there, so I keep running, right? But, thinking about your forefathers, thinking about your granny, and also enjoying, I need to be careful now in terms of, why all my aid station stops are disappearing whenever Naveen crosses, jokingly. But yeah, but that's true, right? So this is probably one of the only sport where you are physically exerting at the same time you're also enjoying the aspect of running, and also you have to eat, you have to fuel correctly, and it's brilliant. So now, what is your first ultra marathon, Naveen? Was it the OT Ultra
Malnad
60K
OT
or the Malnad? Yeah.
OT 30K, then straight away I did Malnad 50K. Then
Okay,
I
so you did
did
the 30, 60.
full marathon. Correct.
Okay, I still distinctly remember the first edition of OT Ultra where you came at 19, I guess, so where you came to the finish line with full of sweat and salt, and I don't want to describe that. It's really nasty for some people to even understand. It's that emotional moment where you finish something. It's not about the medal, it's not about the time, but it's about that accomplishment that one goes through. It's so immense, right? So for me, I get to see three-dimensional view of athletes, right? As an athlete myself, when I see somebody else running my events, I'm also sometimes envious that, oh, okay, these guys are running, I'm not running, and I'm just standing, right? So that's one perspective. And then I also can relate to, okay, what kind of pain that they go through. Second, and then the second perspective is as a race director. And for me, it's like everybody reaching the finish line is like, oh, okay, so this person has reached finish line, so that means the route is correct, the support is correct. And the third thing is as a coach, right? So as a coach, what I witness is the culmination of the human performance, right? So you actually see how every individual is taking this race on themselves. Some people are happy, some people are crying. I've seen you coming and pouring, right? So crying, and it's a very emotional moment. I can't describe. I always tell that, oh, okay, you must run one ultra marathon, right? Whenever if you're a runner, experience ultra marathon at least once in life. Okay, it's a utter idiotic thing, stupid thing to do. It's gonna hurt you physically, mentally. It's gonna challenge you, but do it once. I've seen you doing it again and again and again. And now, we talked about the aspect of why you started running, and then who do you meet in your run. Looks like you've got a community of people, right, who you go with and follow with. What is the nature of people who you move around with in the ultramarathon world? And let's say if somebody has to join your club, what is the minimum criteria for them to join your club?
There's no criteria as such, coach.
But I know criteria. I can think about 3 or 4 criteria.
I don't know, coach. It's like I just go with my intuition. If I feel somebody crossing during my runs, and when I connect with them, and I don't connect just for the namesake or just to talk or pass time during that race. So I make sure that I speak to them. I speak to them with open heart, and I get their contacts, and I make sure that I'm stay in touch with them. So that it's a beautiful feeling, like and where whoever I've reached to till date with all these running events, whoever I've met, they are there, still with me, the same way. That's where I always tell people, it's life. It's like a mirror. Let's not blame the society. Let's not blame anyone. Let's blame us. So what you give, you get. So that is the only criteria in my community, coach. Like whatever I get back the same.
No, it's awesome. I mean, I think that the mirror concept is very relatable, right? It's the friend circle or even your family. It is whoever you meet with, whether they're angry or upset, they are reflecting your understanding, right? Now, I've seen you as a very jovial person. You know, you enjoy the fun aspect of everything, and then of course the food is something. Let's discount that. You know, that's just a fun aspect. I don't think when I look at you, and you're not the person who's like a foodie, right? You enjoy food, but doesn't mean that you need to eat a lot of food. Okay. So now tell me one thing. Now, I've seen you, you know, kind of getting into fatherhood when you started running. You know, your son has come, mother. He is a big source of happiness in your life. But let's also not forget that you have a wife, because you don't talk about her all the time. She's probably watching you now, so you have to tell something nice about her. Okay, you always talk about your son. And then, so how is that bonding between a dad who keeps running, who keeps, you know, kind of getting medals, you travel to different places? How is that playing out? Your time off to different places, to experiencing your world. How do you balance that with the family? Because this is a constant source of struggle for many working professionals, right? So you are also a kind of working professional, so you have your busy life, but you need to balance your family and also your passion for ultra running. So how are you able to balance between all these three?
It's very simple, coach. My wife have known me like, my entire life, because since she's my relative, so it's like she has seen my schooling days, my college life, my corporate life. Then we got married, and she had seen my first phase of my our initial years of my wedding, and she herself has felt that running, it has changed, like given new perspective to me. It's like one circle, right? So you give up on everything, and I always keep saying, even when I started running, I used to be a smoker. So I don't have any regrets now. So I quit smoking on others' first birthday. So this is the biggest thing, what running has given, and my wife is very happy with that. So these are small things, which she felt that, okay, he's enjoying his, running, and let's not disturb him. And she ensures that, all my, calendar running events, if there are any family functions, she makes sure that she goes and attends. And she, somewhere, she takes pride. It was very difficult, the initial days. Now, when people started acknowledging, he's running so long distance, I can't do this. Somewhere, she herself able to relate, what it takes to be athlete, and she feels very happy that, Adav is also joining the bandwagon, and, even in the schools, she keeps telling, you are a runner's father, you are a runner's son, you will have to win this competition. I was not actually putting any pressure on him in his, school competition or whatever. But then I felt that, she's not very expressive, but I know, she has everything, within her, and she knows, if she doesn't disturb me, I will, go on by the other side of, her lifestyle. So now, I'm.
Okay. So running, because you started running, you were able to, uh, catch certain few habits, which are considered to be the healthy habits. But at the same time, you also were able to drop something that could have affected your health a lot more damaging, right? So between, there's always this discussion about food, drinking, smoking. Right? So these are the three. Food is like, it can give you energy, it can give you happiness, but it can also hurt you, right? And so we know about it, and it takes a lot of time and effort to control what you eat. And the second thing is drinking. Of course, it's more of a social aspect, and then of course anything overly done is going to hurt you. And smoking is always something that I have seen as damaging, whether it is small quantity or large quantity. And I've also seen some of my clients struggling with the habit of, okay, I'm not able to drop it. I mean, so if you can run an ultra marathon, you can drop smoking. Okay, so that's my philosophy. Okay, but I think you were able to successfully demonstrate that you can do that, and it's also a message for somebody who is contemplating, or even pre-contemplating, not even contemplating, it's very, very painful to watch somebody finishing an ultra marathon straight away going behind a tree and smoking. I've seen people doing that. Okay, why, right? So it's good to see that you're able to bring that positivity in the family, and then your family is able to appreciate the change and the transformation, and also at the same time, you're inspiring your son. He is seeing a world of father, as a runner, and of course, the runner's identity is a cool identity for all of us to have, right? It's really heartening to see that you're able to balance all those things, and I'm sure. How is this question? Next question to you is, how is this affecting your professional life? So what's happening? Do you see any change in the way you approach your contribution to your professional life before getting into running and after getting into running?
No, no, coach. Actually, running has made me, very, to be more professional as such. Earlier, if I'm not running, I would wake up at 7:30, pack my bags and go to work, and it's a random thing. Whenever, I was like little bit, take it easy kind of a guy generally, and, there was no proper goal or whatever. Now, with running, even in my professional life, I started, doing the same way. Like, how I approach an ultra marathon. Say, for example, if yearly targets have been given, it's like I don't chase right away, the entire year ka target. I just break it into, 5K, 10K, 15K, because I'm sure every runners can relate. If you are going in a highway, we see, say, X distance, 40 kilometers. We might think, instead of driving, if I'm running, how many hours I can go and join. So that process, you will be always able to relate to running. So even in professional life, I started approaching the same.
Okay.
And during tough times, during all the review meetings with your bosses, when you are not able to complete your projects on time or your sales targets, I always feel, okay, we are right now in the 70th, 80th kilometer of, either a border ultra or a Malnad. So we'll keep walking. No, actually, it has helped mentally, to work on my professional, my life as well. So this is something, I've learned it.
It's fantastic there, because when you say running, the mantra that everybody is expected to follow, okay, one step at a time. But I think the same approach, you can bring it into your professional life, right? So anything is complicated, it looks like, okay, it's like another 100K to go or 80K to go. As you break it down into smaller pieces, you'll be able to approach that. So the one incident that I want you to talk about is your first ever 100-kilometer run at the border. And then at the finish, there is some drama that happened. Why don't you tell us about that once again? I'm going to hear that once again, because I can hear this from you multiple times. Go ahead.
As I said, coach, like, I did this Malnad 80K, 3 weeks prior to border 100. So which was a cardinal sin. So I had a big fall in Malnad Ultra, and I was carrying that major injury on my knees, and still I went ahead. Ideally, I would suggest, if somebody is there, I would have told, not to, go ahead.
Yeah, so advice is only for others. Right? That's what you're saying.
Correct. No, coach, and another thing, as I said, whatever events which I'm registering, I always feel that, I don't have the bandwidth to register the same event again and, with all the expenses and give it back. So I always see that this is the finals of this. Either you finish it or you can't go back. So that within that bandwidth, I play with it. So I decided, and at the 13th kilometer, the pain started coming, and as I said, I break it down. Like I had, ample time. 16 hours was there. I started walk, run. So it was, very comfortable. I thought, there are like 15 minutes to go. I just had 2 kilometers to cover. So I was just walking, and I was checking my Garmin. It said around 100 kilometers, some few meters. But I couldn't see the finish line. So then I started crying. Like, obviously, Ramnagar deserted. I couldn't see anybody, and I started crying. Then I thought, okay, even if I'm not going to, because one good thing with, running all these previous editions of UTY Ultra, I always know, okay, Even if you don't get a medal, you just go and finish it off. And even if the distance is higher, the other quality of an ultra runner is, if it is a 80K distance, don't expect to be a 80K exactly, as per standards certified or whatever. Be prepared to go up to 85 or 82. So I prepare race director for not the distance so much or whatever. So then we were one time even for border, and I started running at 5:30 pace for close to 1.5 kilometers. So because so I don't know from where the energy came from. Maybe my granny would, I'm crying, and suddenly she came in and I started running at 5:30 pace. I reached the finish line and I was ready not to take the medal because I didn't know whether it was within the. Then I saw the race director and he said medal Lolo, and he gave it is like 3 minutes to the finisher in the last edition of the border. So then actually after coming back, I felt that there is something which I shouldn't give up in life, or this ultra, it's changed my life forever, coach. That is where I keep as you said, I always wanted to do the distance rather than the speed game.
Yeah, absolutely, well said. See, there are 2-3 things, right, take away, especially a lot of runners who like to run ultras. They come with certain expectations. One is ultra marathons are conducted in different terrains. That could be desert, mountain, or inside coffee trades like the Malnad or the Bison Ultra. Ooty is also a road run. There's nothing like a perfect course, right? So the start point has to be somewhere, the finish point has to be somewhere else. In between, you can't have a perfect distance. And plus, the watches that we wear, the devices, the GPS device, they have their own set of accuracy issues, right? So you need to deal with those factors. Those are the uncertain things. Now, that if you're going to rely only on an electronic device, you're going to miss the cutoff. And then, most importantly, the attitude that you described to me, the attitude of, all right, so what if I don't finish within the cutoff? Let me go and finish it, right? You give your best effort. And then all the grannies supporting you, the Almighty supporting you, the sudden surge or the final surge, right? The final surge that you get is something undescribable. It is not, it is actually theoretically impossible. Because when you say somebody is fatigued after running for 18 hours, 19 hours, 20 hours, your body is like so broken down. And then where do you get that sudden surge of energy, right? It's so beautiful, and only ultramarathoners can experience that. Well said that, and again, congratulations for that 100K finish. So now let's kind of talk about a little bit on the future. We're kind of far end of the this conversation, so I want to talk about, what is your ultimate ultra marathon goal? Do you have anything like that, or you already achieved, and then whatever comes in the future is all like easy things? Do you have anything like, okay, I want to do this?
Right now, I can see 3, coach. One is the Comrades Marathon, which has been pending for so long. Comrades Marathon, which I'm going to attempt this June. The second one is the Western States, and the third one is the 234 kilometers. So
third one is you're breaking.
Then,
what do you say?
I think
third one,
the Spartan or the Greece.
Okay, right.
So I was told.
Yeah, plan to meet Amit Kumar. He's done the Spartan. He is the 90K runner. So we've got. Okay, awesome. So we've got about 11 90K runners this time, and I'm pretty excited to see these kind of people, runners, person like you, who've got a different take on the whole experience. Somebody who's keen on finishing target, personal best, somebody who's coming there just to enjoy. It's fabulous, right? So I'm really gifted to be a runner and a race director at the same time, and also a coach. Because for me, the three-dimensional view of an event it's really amazing to see. I mean, thank you very much for being with me. I know it's a short conversation, unlike all the ultra marathon lungs, which are very, very long. But I also want to prove to everybody that hey, just because you're an ultra marathon runner, you don't need to be talking for a long time, right? Anyway, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you on this little forum. And I'm sure we've also had some fans who was keen on understanding what your journey is, and also they'll appreciate you as a person, and also at the professional level. I wish you good luck, and it's really amazing. You know, I feel great because I've seen you as a runner participating in many events, and also as my academy student. You know, you went through that coaching program, and then I'm really happy and proud that now you're like a free soul who's kind of exploring the world in your own terms, you know, which is really amazing. Thank you very much. Any parting words, any advice for the first time ultra marathoner who is going to run the OT Ultra? They have done the 42Ks, they've got the qualification, they're coming to run the 60K for the first time. So what will be your word of wisdom for those guys?
So OT Ultra is going to be a total different event from all the other road races, you know, what they wanted to do. One thing is, you know, they have an ample cutoff. First thing is they don't have to worry about the cutoff. And the second thing
I need to seriously reconsider this. I need to seriously reconsider this.
No, coach. For the 30K, 5 years is a good amount of time, and for a 60K, 10 hours 30 is a good amount of cutoff. You know, provided that you open your mind and keep going the distance. That is what my philosophy is. Rather than deciding finish 30K within 4 hours, and you end up getting once you reach the 25th kilometer, it's all uphill. So don't try to in all the uphills. Respect the mountain, start walking wherever is possible, and wherever you feel the downhill, start running. So these are some things which I could relate to OT Ultra, especially, coach. And I'm excited this year again to be part of the OT Ultra edition. So let me see how far I can improve my personal time. So much.
Okay. All right. All the best, Naveen, and thank you once again
having
for
this
your time.